I've got a guest I'm going to bring on here in a few minutes, and I've got a couple important charts to show you. These are money-making opportunities. Now, what's going on with PayPal from yesterday to today? A minor little dip, and then back to rocketing higher. So I'm going to answer the question that some of you asked me, is the PayPal move over? No, PayPal was my number one pick for buying and holding in the month of October. And I've got a minimum target on PayPal. This video is not about PayPal, but I've got a minimum target on PayPal that's way above where we're sitting right now. Now, I'm going to touch on two stocks that Michael and I, Money Mike, he's in the Stocks with Josh Discord. He's one of my crown traders. Now, he's had an explosive blowout trade, and I want to bring it to your guys' attention. I'm going to let him chart it for you. I'll bring him on in just a minute. But I've also got a chart that I was sharing with him, and I'm like, you know what? If I'm sharing it with Michael because I want Michael to make some money, I'm going to share it with the rest of you guys. So we're going to look at a couple trades. These are not ones that I've talked about on the show recently. It's not anything I've talked about. So both of the charts that we're going to go over today are going to be ones that are brand new. And if I'm talking about it, there's a reason for it. Maybe you should look at it as well. Maybe throw it up on your watch list. Poet, 300% gains for some folks. Thousands of dollars made. Yesterday, we hadn't even hit $9 yet. It was just around 8 something. And I said, guys, the target's 9. And if you go into the chart, you see that it hit 9 and it got a little rejected. Now, I gave that because that's where there were sellers waiting. That's how I saw those sellers, and I knew that it would run until it hit 9. Now, Poet trade's not over, but smart people who loaded up and took a position when I talked about it a couple weeks back and a couple more times since then have already made 300%. So we got to watch it carefully. And if you want to hold it longer, let me tell you the secret to that. It's one of the disciplines. I've got 4. I talk about them on this channel all the time. The secret is put a stop loss in. Raise it up. I got a great analogy from one of the guys, one of the followers in the Stocks with Josh Discord this morning. They said, if you put money at risk and you put it to work for you, then treat it like an employee. And if you had a business where your employees were working, you'd want to make sure that it was a safe place to work. The way that you protect those working dollars is by putting a stop loss in, right? You've got to think about that as a company, as a profit-making opportunity. When you go to sleep and you've got dollars on Wall Street in companies that are working globally around the world 24/7, that money is growing. That's the vision of Wall Street and big tech, and that's what we're doing. We're kicking down the golden door. Welcome to Wall Street. This is the Stocks with Josh show. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for hitting the like. Thank you for hitting subscribe to get these daily videos on charts that are moving. And you can make money by following me on YouTube alone, just by looking at the stocks that I'm watching and talking about. But you can make even more money by joining the Stocks with Josh Discord. Now, let me clarify. This is a risky environment. You might not do well. You could lose all your money on Wall Street, but you get more access to what I'm doing and more access to me and my crown traders, and you get to live trade alongside me or Money Mike 5 days a week. I live trade Wednesdays and Fridays. He live trades Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. I'm going to bring him on in just a minute. And then I've got some very important charts I want you guys to see. Every time you tune into this channel, it's a charting class. And I hope that you use it as an opportunity to become more comfortable with charts. They're not as mysterious as they appear. It does take a little bit of time. At some point, it all comes together. And I'm going to let Money Mike comment on that because he was in the exact same spot that you guys were just a couple of years ago. He pressed in. He joined the Stocks with Josh Discord. I identified his abilities and his character, gave him a crowned trader's position, and all he has been doing for the fam is making people money. He's had an incredible rise, and I'm excited. I'm bullish on the Money Mike stock.
Yeah.
It has only been appreciating in value. Mike, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Yeah, we had a great show today, and we had 4 trades, 2 on NVDA right out of the gate. I got 20% on both, a little bit above 20%. And then Michael called out AMD and SPY, And truthfully, those were 40% winners, weren't they, Michael? Or
Yeah,
more?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And I didn't
great
shift fast enough. I should have got on the money train with Money Mike
one.
with those two plays. Congratulations to anybody that did. If you're in the Stocks with Josh Discord, take a minute, let people know that we're making money. All right. Let's talk about a banger, a stock that's gone on a heater, a down in the dump stock that I personally has referred to as dead money. I don't like the company. I don't like the leadership, and I don't like their vision. However, you know what? Some of these underdogs begin to turn around, and there's opportunity. And if you're watching them, you can do well. Let's talk about Target, Target,
Target.
TGT. This dog of a stock has been coming up off the floor. Now, I'm going to let Michael show his chart and give you a little bit of vision. I'm going to do a little charting on it, let you know what I'm watching, and then I'm going to give you another one that you need to be watching, because here's another one. It's not a pick for October, but it's potentially in its turnaround moment, and it could be a massive winner for investors and swing traders. So I've got one to give you. Michael, tell me, let's talk a little bit about Target. First, set people up, explain to people why you started watching it, and then I'll throw your chart up when you're ready.
Yeah, Josh, I love to find comeback stories. I love to find things that have room to come up, and then I go back and I can see in the history where they've been before and where it could go again. So I found Target down here on the floor again, and we've had I think you ran this maybe 6 months or a year ago, something like that, and I think I sold around 25-30% for a gain and a win. So I keep, over time you get things on your tracker, and that stuff that you keep up with along the years and along the months. And when I get opportunities like this, I'll keep looking at them and find them.
Well, let me chat with you about this. So Target last earnings disappointed Wall Street with a regime change, management change. They chose an inside guy. Now, Target's not done well. And so Wall Street's view was you need someone from the outside who can come in and fix what you're doing wrong. Instead, they promoted a guy who's been part of the problem. At least that's the way Wall Street viewed it. And their numbers weren't good. The stock got slammed down. And there was a potential turnaround moment. But what happened was the news. The news changed the immediate trajectory of Target, and it collapsed. Now, it fell down enough that maybe Wall Street's going to say this. Well, we let this guy run for 3 months, this new CEO. Maybe he's going to deliver. Maybe it's beat down enough. And why don't we go into the chart and let me know what your targets are, and then I'll give a couple thoughts on my target. Go ahead. On Target.
Target's on Target.
Yeah, okay, I got you up.
There we go. This is initially why I found it, Josh, was because of oversold conditions on the RSI. This is one of the things I've learned from you over the past years watching you is watching these reversal stories, and this is where I found it, and this is where we started taking position on calls. We've run options on this one. With a little more upside. We just hit a nice leg a few minutes ago, and they're up about 22% as of today on our play from the Discord. So if you're not in the Stocks with Josh Discord, this is where you need to come and be and learn with us, learn all these technicals.
Well, let me add to that real quick. And I don't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Now I'm on YouTube, and me and Mike are in the Discord together, but he's got his own YouTube page, right? Called Spy Lord Scalps. Money Mike is the name. Yeah. Go check that out. I'll leave a link in the description and the top pinned comment for him. Now he's building his YouTube presence, which means he's really more of a day trader. I mean, he's a day trader. Okay, that's what he's doing 24/7 is day trading and doing some coaching. And then when he's got a little time, he's putting out a video. But what he's putting out is making people money. I would not promote Mike if I didn't think that he had something to add to people's journey. Matter of fact, I insist that people are in my Discord, that they go to a coaching session with him. I don't offer coaching. I do not, but I offer Mike's coaching because Mike is crushing it, right? Especially he's fresh and hot, man, in the coming up. He knows what it's like. Mike, let's be real. You weren't doing this a year ago.
No, not full time. No, sir.
You transitioned because things began to click.
Opportunities arose, and this is kind of a dream, man, to be honest with you. I thought about this. I grew I traded, I learned and learned and learned. I got a lot of years doing this, and then things started clicking.
And I like to say I play a small role in that. You found the right environment, and
large role.
And the Lord blessed you. Okay, Lee. Final prediction. Where do you think this Target move is going to end? Is this something that could be held all the way up to their upcoming earnings? I'm going to tell you all that, if they don't follow through, people are closing their puts, they're closing their shorts because we're getting closer to Q3 earnings for Target, and so they're de-risking and taking profit. If those earnings comes out bad, they'll write it down for another leg. So what's happening is we're coming up off the floor as we get closer to Q3 earnings. Mike, what is the immediate target to the upside that you're hoping to see before earnings?
92, around 92.50, Josh. And then if we can get through that, 96.50 would be, I think these are reasonable targets. I don't want to come on here and tell people, oh, we're going to $110. Well, I'm not telling you that. I'm telling you the technicals are lining up. The RSI on the daily time frame, when this passes this 50 line, we can start becoming a little more bullish in this. And I'm watching the MACD rise. If we can close over about this $91 level, I think 92.60 is on the table, and then 96.50. These are my two targets to the upside for Target. We picked this up on support, Josh. We picked this up where it was supposed to be picked up, and now we're enjoying some rewards from it, brother.
Absolutely. And I know this, guys, anything that we talk about is not a suggestion for what you should buy, sell, or hold. And having the next hot play is not a substitute for having patience and discipline on Wall Street. You will not survive unless you take those cautions and learn those disciplines. Mike, you went from being someone who was a hobby trader to being a full-time trader. And I know you tell them, what did you have to do? What really began to separate you from being a hobbyist who was working and trading their time for money to being someone that was actually able to do this full time? What caused you to begin to make more money? I'm going to guess. I feel like I know the answer, but I want to hear it from you.
Learning the technicals.
Because wouldn't you say that before that, Mike, you were flying blind, right?
You're flying blind and throwing darts, Josh. That's all.
Throwing darts and hoping for the best. Everything's a Hail Mary. And and I'm just going to say this, right? For many people who have joined me on my YouTube journey and have allowed me to join them on their financial journey, the difference between being unprofitable to being consistently profitable has been my belief and confidence and passion for the charts. And I found Mike who feels the same way, and it's been working for him. You add that charting knowledge to some discipline, you will become wealthy on Wall Street. 100%. I'm going to take you into one more chart, guys, here that I want you to see. It was what I was sharing with Mike and triggered the idea of just jumping on and sharing this with you guys. Let me talk to you about Pepsi. Now, we've made a lot of money on Pepsi in the past. And of course, because of that, we bought Pepsi back here and ran it up to 157. We did this whole move not too long ago. And of course, 157 was our target. 157 is where we took profit. And I've been sitting back and watching it. Now, I just want to quickly go over this with you. This is what I see. First of all, 157 is clearly resistance. Clearly, it's resistance. Every single time. In the past, what had once been support, it eventually broke, and it's now become resistance. But of course, if you can see what I'm laying down already, some folks who are learning the charts already see what I just drew there, which is the beginning of an inverse head and shoulders pattern. So right now is the time to begin to watch this, okay, right now, because I want to just share with you, when you've got a clearly defined neckline, and I don't think anybody is going to dispute with me that 157 to 160, I'm trying to draw a straight line, is the neckline. So what you do is you take the neckline down to the head, and you put that at the potential breakout. Why is 157 the breakout? Well, guys, it's been the pattern, right? This has been the resistance. And so eventually, if we close above 157, now how many days do we need candles to close above 157? We need a minimum of 2 days needs to close above 157. We also need to see a surge in volume, okay? Mm-hmm. If those conditions come together, well, the target brings us all the way to 190. That's the measured move. That's the distance between the neckline and the head. We put that up there, and as soon as this confirms, we get all the way up to 190. So there's long-term opportunity here in Pepsi. Now, what do we need? What do we need to get this to confirm? Well, I've got an important mark on my chart, and that's what I'm going to refer to as the trigger. Okay, 146. To get to 157, we've got to get above 146. And you can see this has acted as areas of resistance, right? We broke down here recently. We've got to get back above 146. That'll be the trigger confirmation of the move to 157. Right now, we're in a place where it's time to pay attention to Pepsi because, yeah, if we can pick it up here and ride it back to 190 between now, 2026, and 2027, that's what I call a
nice move there.
A really nice move. A really nice move. Now, when you need to spend some time doing your own due diligence, it's not buy Pepsi because I talked about it today. It's pay attention to Pepsi because right now is the time where it could be turning the corner. We could get a confirmation trigger at 146. That'll take us to 160. And then if we can confirm, I think between 160 and 150, it would flag. And then it would make another pass at 160 because that's normally the way Wall Street works. It typically takes 2 moves before the SWAT team of bulls can knock through a resistance. But then once we do that, we could be going all the way back to all-time highs. Now, I'm not calling that today. What I'm calling is put it on your watch list. It's looking interesting to me. We are crushing it on PayPal. We crushed it on Poet. Michael's crushed it on Target and TTD.
TTD, yes.
I'm going to take the last few minutes of this video just to briefly touch on Bull, B-U-L. Webull Corporation. And I'm just going to share with you, first of all, in my live trade session in the Stocks with Josh Discord, I covered it today. And so you're not going to get everything on YouTube. I mentioned this. I've been mentioning it more often. If you follow me on a trade on YouTube, you're going to get more context and more content overall between YouTube and the Discord. And what I said about it is that I called the move from 1330 up to 16. And I told everybody, this is now resistance. It's just like the serve stock. It's do or die time. And what I did with the serve stock, I pulled the stop loss up right underneath because it was do or die time. And then, of course, with serve, it took off like a rocket the following day. With bull, it's flushed. Why did it flush? Because of something the charts cannot see, which is dilution, which is something that I've warned you guys about a lot. These small cap stocks that are not profitable, they've got to sell shares or get investment money, and that's what dilutes the current shareholders. Now, the fact that Bull didn't wait for the stock to run up to $17 or $20 before making a public offering or going after a loan or what they've done is an indication that they're not doing well financially. Their money's tight. Right? The CEO was desperate. He pulled the trigger too early. Now, I've been telling you on companies like Serve and Poet and even APLD. These are companies I love, Rigetti and other ones I've talked about on my show, BBAI. They'll all go after money at some point. They'll
Dilution.
all dilute at some point. And when they dilute, it's going to pull the price of your shares down. Yeah. And they're going to dilute when the stock is hot. And so the fact that Webull diluted before the stock could really break out shows how desperate they were, and that's what brought the stock price down.
I'm glad you said that, man. That made perfect sense to me when you said that this morning, that he wouldn't wait, the company wouldn't wait for a run up. And that made no sense. That does not make sense. It doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
But they're desperate. They're desperate.
They're desperate. Yep. And so I also took the group, the community, in the live trade session. I explained. I would say, Michael, for those who are further along in their journey, it was a master class on volume.
Absolutely.
Now you haven't heard that, Michael. Have you, that explanation of volume? No. And it's not to say that Michael doesn't understand volume, but some of these smaller details about how to observe institutional buys in the volume chart and what it tells you about the overall arc or move of the stock. That it was a masterclass review this morning, and I hope you guys, that those who are in there enjoyed it. But I'll just comment on that without going through it with you guys today. The volume is what originally attracted me to Bull, But the volume went so red, it meant that the earlier volume nodes, Wall Street, they crossed it off.
Yep.
The new volume canceled those previous moves. On the serve chart, the volume looks good. Okay, no bearish stealthy selling, no bearish aggressive selling. But on bull, we got bearish aggressive selling. And so not in that. And it pulled back to a place where it's attractive at 12. But because the volume story doesn't add up and because of their dilution, I'm not going to chase it. This is one I'm going to ignore. And why would I ignore it? This was another point that we made in the video today. I'm giving you some of the highlights. Why? Because Wall Street always has a new opportunity for you. Target potentially going to run all the way up to earnings. Pepsi potentially in a spot where you're talking 1,000% gain in the right option, properly dated. That's not confirmed yet. But the opportunities are always there on Wall Street, and you don't want to be babysitting red candles and holding on to them and buying the dip that never stops dipping. Just follow the charts with me, and we'll make some money. Appreciate you, Mike. Guys, get over to his page, subscribe to his page, and come find both of us in the Stocks with Josh Discord. It's a wonderful community, and it's not just me, and it's not just Michael. We've got great guys in there. Mark from Tribal Trades, Crypto D-Gen. I got Stock Brother who does the penny stocks. He's the best penny stock guy there is. I got Miss Mary and Ertuan who teach basics. And if you feel like I'm above your head in some way, come in there, and Miss Mary will hold your hand.
Absolutely.
She will hold your hand and get you over the finish line so that everything I'm saying and Mike is saying makes more sense. Appreciate everybody. Thank you for hitting the like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. If you need better trading tools, check out this limited time offer from the Moomoo investment app where you can get up to $1,000 of NVDA stock just for making a deposit. Plus, they're offering 8.1% APY for your uninvested cash for the first 3 months and 4.1% after that, which is still better than most banks. So your money is actually working even when you are not trading or even looking at the app. Now, I'm going to show you guys some features that I really like about Moomoo. I've always enjoyed these features. Let's go look at them. I'm a huge fan of their earnings calendar. When a company reports, you can just tap the earnings tab to get all the important data. You're going to get the revenue, the earnings per share, as well as the latest company news all in one place. And then there are the zero commission fees on US stocks, ETFs, and options. That's not the case for every popular retail platform. Whether you trade every day or you just simply check on your investments, every once in a while, you pay no hidden fees. Check it out on their website, read the fine print for yourself, and consider whether or not Moomoo is right for you.